Dinet Manik CM High Secondary School Shillong hakap santrik risau arjar pusan kala Pynhap Pyrda no ya Jingkhlaiñ dap arsan snam lani ka silver Jubilee ka school hakapan jing Shakri haka Pule Puthi haka Jylla kabla penlong hapo ka hall jong ka school hakani ka silawan simbenta do ba polling do nong ai boy ka social welfare kum kongsan harengkat ka jidan lang ba bante kharsan di director ka school education and literacy kumusum board kongsan ka kongdrim Simon khat ngor principal ka school ba penya sing CM chief executive member barim ka HSS ki nong hikai ki kimi ki pa ki samla Pule na lor ki wei la pin ipu ipieng ya gani ki Jylla ki Jingkhlaiñ na lor ki jingshat na ki khna Pule jong ka ka school haba jingkran hagani ki jelang na kaliang ba bi kharsan di la pen kan mau ki por bolong kumunong hikai ya ki school fair ki bodan haka Jylla haka ba la pen pau ba kumbalong ki nong ilam balang ka kam hikai ru kam de ka bahab banjit hande ka de ka jingkhot banlong kum kinong hikai.
I've been a teacher for almost 5.5 years. I've really enjoyed teaching because I've taught students at various levels. You know, I started teaching in Auxilium Convent High Secondary School here in Shillong. So I taught at the high secondary level. I was teaching classes 11 and 12. Then after that, I took a short break and then went on to teach in Limekrat Presbyterian High Secondary School. And there I got the opportunity to even teach students at the lower primary level. So I was teaching students in classes 3 and 4 as well. And then I was also teaching classes 11 and 12. And then after that I went on to teach at the college level. So, in the 5.5 years time, of being a teacher, I had the privilege, I had the opportunity to teach students at various levels. And it's often said that teaching is a very, very noble profession. All of us would really agree to that teaching is a noble profession. But I'll tell you, more than a noble profession, it is a profession which requires a definite calling. People, they used to say that, for people to be pastors, for people to be evangelists, you have to have the calling from God, the Almighty. Now, I personally believe that even a teacher also, for somebody to be a teacher, it requires the same kind of calling which has to come from within.
Nakaliang ba pol loong ba ka Jingkhlaiñ jong ka Jylla kam shong ha ka jingdon bon pat hanrei ka shong ha ka jinglong jingman ka Biang leng ba ka Pule ka Puthi nalor ka taw la penbana ba ka song pisa ba arlak tengka kum ka jing ai songba sha ka te ka slam ai jing hikai.
If we talk about education, perhaps the best definition that I have come across comes from the Irish poet, the Blue Yeats, who said, education is not the filling of a pail, it is the lighting of a spark. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a spark. Today, as we come to the valedictory program where we celebrate the silver jubilee of Dinet, there are two things that I'd like to share with you. One is the fact that we need, as has been reflected by speeches and also by the forward plan, that we need to synergize our efforts collectively. Shillong was once the proud mecca of education, the hub of education. I've interacted with a lot of individuals who have achieved well and have done well in life. I remember a particular evening that we spent at the Dhaka Club when Bangladesh was thriving with life and energy. And I was happy that not less than 5-6 of those gentlemen that I sat with all had their education in Shillong. Today, the challenge before us is not to live in the glory of the past, but to regain that glory is a challenge that we should meet today. If we talk about high achievers, I'm sure that all of you are familiar with the name of Nelson Mandela. There is a small vignette from his life which he had narrated in his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, where he recounted that he was alone in solitary confinement at Rhode Island. And he said that before his meal, he would take a walk. And he was always accompanied by a guard who would intentionally make him walk faster than he was comfortable. He said, the challenge before me was how do I make this guy walk according to my pace. It was a mental game, a mind game. But he said, finally, after a few evenings, he noticed that when Mandela walked slower than the guard would allow him, the guard noticed that he was aggressive at the start, but in a matter of days, he adjusted his pace according to Mandela's pace. The point here is, if somebody in solitary confinement for 27 years could master the art of playing this game and eventually controlling the pace of the walk, likewise, we as a society, we as stakeholders in the growth trajectory of education also have to adjust ourselves with the demands of the time and making sure that we emerge victorious in the long run. The state of Meghalaya has so much in terms of our soft skills, in terms of our familiarity and affinity with English, the fact that there are inherent strengths in our education system that we can and should only tap into. These are strengths that we should work on. I'd also like to emphasize here the fact that a lot of us, and especially our dear young friends, need to shift their attention to finding their purpose in life. Today we see growing societal imbalances, growth of resentment against the system. All of these are pointers to the fact that somewhere there has been a lack of focus as far as envisioning our future is concerned. This is where I would like, as one of the stakeholders and a member who is fortunate enough to be part of the planning process of the state, we would like to see that our vision for Meghalaya for the next 50 years should begin in right earnest from today. Somebody has said a lot of people are scared of death, but we should be most scared of the fact that we are yet to start living. Friends, on this occasion, while I'm not part of the education department per se, but all these departments, department of which I'm the advisor, social welfare, education, sports and youth affairs, all these are interlinked. We need to work in synergy. Synergy brings energy. And therefore, as a token of support to the school, I'd like to announce a token of rupees 2 lakhs from my side as contribution to the funds of the school in pursuit of its various activities.
Habatin, pej bahagi kishap, kashap plus F.
Ka plus F?
Hakabam bangibam, dunaki eki batay kamet. Namar kata, habathiru atau kau kamlu ka umpnyang kadut, pej ya kashap plus F hakajingsom. Yaki nutrient kumki vitamin bat ka iron la icon diat bat akabatau bha. Kam kata ikadur jengki marbam kajing mat lani ka rukam shed yaki.
Balehi banai kita.
Kadon ka we kajing mentoy bakongsan. Kakot kakia. Ka nutrition bakam bha kajing im bakam bha pendon kam daki marba medon ka sharp plus F menta kasni.
Lawan Ra Shafi Lingba ko office jong Commissionerate of Food Safety Meghalaya.